Hi, this is Chuck Martin. We're here at the AI Summit in London. I'm happy to say I have with me here Adrian Cox from Deutsche Bank, Managing Director of Thematic Strategist. How are you today?
I'm very well. Just been really enjoying seeing all of the stands and everything else that's going on at this event. Just obviously a great example of quite how popular AI is a subject at the moment. Everyone wants to know more.
I have to ask you, what is a thematic strategist?
So typically I would be looking at things which go across sectors or across geographies. And in the last 18 months or so, that's been AI, because that really is the thing that clients want to know about.
So you were a journalist. How did you convert from journalist to a bank?
Oh, I've had a fairly varied career. So I started off as a journalist, then I became a marketer, then I became a journalist for quite a long time. And then after that, I went into communications, and then more recently, I moved into research. So it just shows that if you're interested in content, there's always going to be a place for you.
So what was your favorite?
I think everything has its time. Right now, I can't imagine anything I'd rather be doing than doing research. It's pushing on an open door, I would say, to be covering AI right now.
So you deal with emerging technology. Obviously, this is the emerging technology of the day. How do you track it, and then how do you convince someone that it is an emerging technology they need to deal with?
Yes, funnily enough, actually, the trouble is not so much tracking it, trying to find information, but just trying to wade through the enormous amount of information there is. And I think when you try to drink the entire river, it becomes impossible. So then it becomes a question of just trying to find little bits that make sense and have enough of a big picture to be able to stitch them together, and then to be able to offer that to clients who want to know and understand more about it.
So you deal with the hype as well, obviously, because we're living in the hype bubble. How do you deal with when the executives are coming saying, hey, we should do this, we should do this? Do you have to be the bad guy and say, hold on, we can't really do that, it's too risky?
Yeah, funnily enough, I often have discussions with clients, and they will want to know the investment case, or they'll want to know the economic case for AI. But very quickly, the discussion then turns to what should I be doing? I sometimes say that the most important acronym right now in AI is not GPT or LLM, but FOMO, fear of missing out. And it's something that everyone obviously is seeing all around them, and they feel, okay, well, I've seen ChatGPT, how do I make that work in my business? And then it's a question of saying, well, just take a step back and think what the use case is, and what problems are you trying to solve? In some cases, you don't need AI at all. In some cases, the AI that you need is almost certainly predictive AI, which is structured and reliable and explainable. If you're going to generative AI, sometimes that's taking an enormous hammer to crack a small nut, and the hammer may entirely miss the nut.
So are you having to deal with a lot of proof of concepts and then scale, or are companies saying, look, we need to go big right away?
So my role is more really to inform people who are investors or people who are big corporates, just in getting to understand the way that the market works and what the implications might be for society and for the economy. I do sometimes get approached by companies, though, because I have a second string, which is looking at how we could apply AI within Deutsche Bank research. And so I've been able to see some of what's on offer, but mostly I'm focused on giving people a kind of an impartial view. I have nothing to sell, and sometimes it helps to have someone who is not necessarily enormously, I don't have a PhD in computer science, but I do have a sort of sense of how it fits into the bigger picture.
And how do you, now you came out of the journalism world. How do you see that world looking back in terms of the AI fit there?
It's a tricky world. I think there will always be a demand for journalism, but how that journalism gets produced is going to evolve pretty rapidly, in the same way as how all content is produced is going to evolve rapidly. Journalism has taken a number of punches over the last few years, with the death of advertising, the decline in subscriptions, all the things which used to make it work. It probably will find a new business model in the years to come, but I think AI is just yet another problem that it has to deal with.
So what do you see, not just your company, but in the industry in general, the big challenges, say, for the year or so ahead in AI?
I think the big issues which I'm going to be looking out for are how much small language models really take off. So at the moment, large language models isn't the big thing. the idea that you can have this kind of general intelligence. But it may be that for the vast majority of cases, actually a small language model which can sit on the edge, sit securely, not have to contact with the cloud and so on, is actually more applicable and can work faster, and is lightweight and cheaper and so on. In the same way, I think it'll be fascinating to see how the open source versus proprietary model debate goes, and whether we're going to see one or other favored by the way that regulation, or indeed just kind of ad hoc lawmaking with copyright law and everything else goes. At this very formative stage, I think that what could be a slight nudge in one direction or another could have extremely serious consequences for the years to come, because it's just going to change that trajectory. Another thing I'm really interested in is multimodal use of AI and how it fits in with new devices which we possibly can't even imagine at the moment. At the moment, the best we can do is just use a phone in a slightly new way, but maybe there'll be something else which comes up in the next few years which completely transforms how we understand AI and changes how we think we can use this new kind of intelligence.
So we're sitting here a year from now, and we're having a conversation with Deutsche Bank. What will we be talking about?
A year from now, it's a tricky.
We won't hold you to it because no one's been right.
Well, almost certainly we would start by saying, you said this last year, that was laughable. There's no way that's ever going to happen, or that, that turned out to be so completely wrong. I expect that we're going to probably, it's hard to say that I'm going to see anything other than just an extrapolation of the exact path of momentum. But then if you look 2 years ago, back in, June, back in June 2022, I think that DALL-E had just been launched by OpenAI, but ChatGPT was still 4 months off. It was inconceivable, the kind of progress that could have been made. And now I think we get a kind of a tantalizing glimpse of it with seeing, for example, Sora or Gemini 1.5 Pro's now 2 million token context window, which really suggests a completely different way it could be down the line. Much more multimodal, much more ability to scan huge amounts of information at once and to be able to make sense of it. But will it all be operational? Will customers be able to use it in their organizations? Will they have good enough data? Will they have the right governance in place? Will they be able to persuade their people to use it? Possibly not.
Well, I guess we'll find out a year from now.
Yeah.
And we won't hold you anything to it.
Thank you.
This is Chuck Martin at the AI Summit London.